Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, and a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. I've waited until the optimal moment, so it wasn't too warm immediately, but also it seems I've picked peak dog walking time at the moment, because yes, I've also picked the ideal location, because I am not repeating the errors of last week and risking another trip down to the shops, only to end up caught in traffic once more. I don't know if they fixed the issue that was happening last time. If I didn't actually give any updates to people, the answer was there was a busted sewage pipe, and that was causing issues. So yeah, it's and naturally, yes, it did take forever to get out of there. Silver lining was that I was able to finish up more of another episode of Once Upon a Witchlight, because that's what I tend to listen to on my way to work, and back from it. So, in that sense, all was well. But yeah, there was still obviously, a huge concern about getting out of there. I was luckily given a hint by my mum that the normal turn on the roundabout was going to be catastrophic if I attempted it, or I think it was not allowed, actually. It was not allowed. So I knew where to turn, although I accidentally ended up in the exact same place again. I had to turn a second time, but yeah, that was not that much of a problem, because I avoided the worst of it outside of pulling out of the shops themselves. Now, there is a 3-hour parking limit, and yes, I did press it by going to get lunch in the meantime. But that still left me with 2 hours. I thought that was going to be plenty of time. Turns out it was not plenty of time, but it was enough time. There was an issue of another suggestion my mum gave me was, go ahead and buy something in the shops, so that you can then, have proof that you were there and you left it, or were intending to leave at a particular time. Now, of course, it is entirely possible for someone to go ahead, buy something in the shops immediately, then leave their shopping and then return 2 hours later. But that was, that's much less likely to happen. So, I did that, kept the receipt, and made very slow progress out into nowhere, really. It wasn't very much out. But yeah, I think people probably got resentful of me, to be honest, because I tried to strike a balance between letting other people who were also in the congestion into the queue versus getting out of there myself. In fact, one person actually went in the opposite lane and tried to squeeze their way in, which, you're not supposed to do, so probably incited the ire of a few people by accident. But yeah, again, I struck a balance. I was trying to, do both at once, so to speak. Yeah. With that in mind, I did actually, I think I got out of there with like 6 minutes to spare. I only ever stress about stuff when there is a time limit for them. Or at least I try to do that nowadays, when it comes to traveling stuff particularly, but also when it comes to other stuff, because naturally, it ate into, my time spent working on other things with deadlines, specifically the remake for this year. Ironically enough, I haven't actually talked about it that much. At least not off camera. Everyone who has been subscribed to me for more than a year knows that, every year this happens. I guess for those that are new, every year for the anniversary of the Mutant Girl, I and the team painstakingly put together a remake of one particular episode, or sometimes two. Back in the day, we used to do two, mostly to, get things moving, let's say. But eventually it became clear that the later episodes, they were slightly longer than the other ones, and they had much more defined beginning, middle, and end cutoff points, which I guess means I got better at scripting. So they've existed on their own, and partly also due to trying to reduce the stress and the managing as well around them. Because the managing for this year has been something. So, most of the time, a lot of the process is actually waiting around for either the voice actors to record stuff or for the editors to send me things. So, problem in that instance, of course, is this time there were a couple of voice actors who either just never got back to me, or they kept on running into issues, like the flare of the sun here. Geez, that's not... I've never had that issue before. It's so bright. Avert your eyes, viewers, I guess. I'll try to find some better cover in a second. But yeah, certain lines took a while, then a couple of ones where, as usual, some people forgot to record them, had to do retakes, wait for those as well. Yeah, it was a whole thing. Not like I'm exactly, exempt from those things happening in the past. Naturally, you think back to Secrets of the Plex and how long I took to deliver, not only just the lines in general when I got sick, but also to try and find a moment where I wasn't bothering neighbors as I'd moved away. And on top of all of that, also, I'm going to loop around here. On top of all of that, then having to redo some of them because I peaked the microphone, which meant, of course, returning to that idea, and it was a lot. Fortunately, that was a video that was already, still building in the process, and Bon had other things that they was working on also. So it wasn't, it wasn't as delaying to the production as it could have been, at the very least. That's the silver lining. But yeah, so I've had that in the past, so I get when it happens with me, but yeah, this time particularly, it was like, oh wow, okay, it's been, usually I'd, announce these things in the new year, and then, give it, 2 weeks to a month to simmer, basically. And oh my. And then after that, assigned to some of the editors, who once again, some of them had issues. I know that M's computer has decided to give up, which has happened a few times, of having to start a scene again, which is always excruciating. But the biggest concern this time, from a production standpoint, is actually that there is one scene that everyone has refused to claim. Well, not really refused to claim. One person refused to claim it, and then everyone else just kind of rallied towards some of the others. Now, I'm going to probably say, Quasi is somewhat exempt from this because, she always takes the smaller scenes, of which there were a few this time, and William took another one, and then did a second one because he was locked in. If only he'd done the one that no one claimed, and I knew about this, I'd been like, oh no, this would be way better. But oh well. If you hadn't done that one, who knows if it would even be sent or not. But yeah, particularly there's one scene, Aiden likes to claim all scenes normally, unless someone else, either calls dibs or we both collectively agree that someone else is better suited for, that particular position. But this time, there was one scene in episode 8, part 1 original specifically, that he really doesn't like, because he doesn't like framed plots. They make him quite uncomfortable. So he just said, okay, he'll do any of the other scenes except that one. Which, you know, okay, that's fine. There were some other people aside from Quadzi that I could have assigned that to. But yeah, they all either claimed other ones, or I think the one that M's got right now was actually one that they claimed as per the recommendation of Aiden. Yeah, that's what Aiden recommended, something to William specifically. I don't remember what the order was. But he recommended a different scene to someone else coming in that wasn't the one that he didn't want to do. So I was like, wait, why? That would have been so easy. But then, of course, you know, they'd already started, so you know, what was I going to do? Say no, you can't do that one? Of course not. So as of right now, there is, you know, even though there are 6 days left, there is still a scene that is yet to be filmed. So most likely I will end up doing that one, but I'm still busy, you know, filming and putting together the big scene, the one that was once its own entire video, as episode 8 was split into parts originally, and we're trying to fuse them together as best we can. And yeah, there is there's a reason that I'm focusing on that one. So when Mutant Girl started during season 1, my goal was to have each episode come out a month after the last one. So I would, you know, do one episode one time, take a break for about a week or so, and then resume, which was, you know, considering the skill set that I had and my lack of you know, further abilities to push gacha to its limits, you know, that ended up mostly working out. Mostly. For you see, there are a couple of times where, like episode 8 specifically actually was the first one where I knew I wasn't going to be able to finish the episode in time, which is why it was split into 2 parts originally. So 8 part 1 was, you know, rather, you know, relatively well put together for the time, and ended up with a cliffhanger that was fairly decent. Now, if I had thought this through, I could have actually, you know, delayed something or made it into made episode that I first went to episode 9 and blended it that way, and just started production early. But no, I decided instead just to make it 8 part 2 and try to release it in the month of October, because that was the month that we were currently in. And yeah, about that. So October, on Halloween I think is when it came out, so I basically got there by the thinnest of margins, essentially. This person, that's signaling right, okay. Yeah, it was, so actually, because, you know, it was time from the 17th to 31st, I was actually rushing more than ever with that. With the limited skill sets, and with a scene that, I'll be honest, you know, was was just a direct rip-off of a plotline from Witch that was, you know, particularly hard to put together. I suppose in a magazine form, as you know, as the visual medium of Witch, it's not super complex. And I will note that the TV series that I hadn't watched at that time, but I have now, never did that. Well, I watched one episode like back in the day, but that's beside the point. Yeah. So you know, I'm trying to do this, like, again, this is before I decided, okay, I'm going to make sure that I only write things that I know I can pull off, or someone on the team could pull off. Well, I had no team at that point for editing things, but you know, in future, that was what I attempted to do. And it was partly because of Puppy Love that I did this, but yeah, this episode was also a very thorough lesson in that. Because, yeah, oof. I'm saying woof like a dog now. There's too many of them around, you can't see them all. So yeah, because of that, there were even like a few parts where things were missing because I was scrambling in the last possible seconds to post it. Episode 10 part 2 also has the same issue for the same reason and end up being released in the same circumstances. Honestly, the season 2 finale also would have had that if you know, Vegas didn't keep crashing, so it was physically impossible for me to finish by 2021 like was my original goal. It's for these reasons I stopped doing deadlines for actual Muse and Girl episodes, just for my own sake. But the exception to that was the remakes, because the reason that they exist in the first place is, well, again, a thing that Aiden talked me into, but also, you know, the reason he did convince me is because, well, I mean, there was a lot of improvement even in those first 2 years when the first one came out that I could exhibit, and a full team to help. So yes, I thought to myself, okay, well, the excuse is there'll be an anniversary present for the series. And that was the plan, you know, to dedicate, you know, 3 months of time, or roughly 3 months, 2.5 really, of, you know, to remake an episode as best as it possibly could be. And, you know, the underlying reason is because there were episodes like 8 Part 2 that I wanted to correct. So it's coming down now to the point where, you know, I'm finally able to redeem myself for the errors in making the series thus far. Or, you know, in the past, I mean, not thus far, because I don't do that anymore. It is ironic that I am, therefore, you know, rushing to complete that same scene and then also see if I can do another one. Yes, a little bit. The saving grace is that other scene is relatively short. This one is the longest. I have for once deliberately assigned myself the longest scene, barred anyone else from helping because I wanted to redeem myself. I did get a couple of offers, and they were tempting, but, you know, sometimes it's the principle, you know. As Lenny Gobler once said, a man's got to do what a man's got to do. To which Fletcher replied, "It's bleeding Batman now." But anyway, yeah. But honestly, you know, this is one of the reasons I wanted to do remakes at all. So yeah, it's good, and I know that even in the time I have left, even if it doesn't look, you know, the best it possibly ever could, it will still be better than what I did in 2019. Just because, I mean, already the pieces are there for it to be improved, and just everything I've discovered since, or that I have stopped being too stubborn to partake in, like art programs, for example, that would have helped with actually finding the props and everything, and the place to source the props and all of that stuff. Like, I can do so much better now, and I have been doing so much better. So, and you know, actually the part that everyone was hoping to help me with is the one I'm doing today. which will not be as long as this in the script, which is 30 seconds, but I will, again, endeavour to do my utmost when it comes to that. So, yeah, that's really all I have to say for right now, because, you know, I made it so that this wouldn't eat too much into my time. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and, you know, head back and do what I must. And we'll see about that other scene. Because I think, to be honest, there's certain elements of that particular one, the second one, that only I know how to do anyway. Because of how updates have worked from Gacha Life 1 to Gacha Life 2. So we shall see. We shall see from there and proceed from here. So this will probably, I guess, this will be the last update before the episode comes out, because it's in less than a week. So yeah, we'll see if next time I am elated or thoroughly depressed. We'll see. For now, please leave a like or dislike, because your opinion matters. And subscribe if you haven't already. And on that note, until next time, farewell. I will also fix this brightness issue. I don't know what's going on there. Never happened before. Weird.